Hey there, malcontents. This here is the Malcontent. How are you doing? We are live in Sumner, Washington. And let me just go ahead and I'm just going to send the camera up. And actually, I got to spin the camera around. Been dealing with some technical issues in the field here.
Much more unobstructed view over there. Let's go right around the corner over here, see where that light is.
Okay.
You're not blocked by these trees.
Right up to the end of it.
Thank you.
No problem. You look like you guys got some good gear. Yeah, just keep walking that way. You see no get right up to it.
So malcontents, those just tuning in, we are in Sumner, Washington. It is approximately 40 miles south of Pierce County, 40 miles south of Seattle. Apologies for that. And there is some significant forest fire activity that is going on in Sumner. And we were just advised by some locals on where we could move to get a more unobstructed view of what's going on here. So and what I actually may do is take the camera off the pole and go handheld. As a matter of fact, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So bear with me here for a moment, because I can give you just more control and do zoom in and zoom out on what's going on and what we can see. And so what is going on here in Sumner is the entire hillside is involved. And what has been happening and has been lost in the news is there has been, because of everything else that's going on, the Seattle area is experiencing literally a once in 100-year weather event right now. And what we're experiencing is something that is a lot more like a California weather pattern. And I can't stress enough, the wind is blowing in the direction where we're at. We are in a safe location. We have not crossed any fire lines. We didn't go across any road closures. We are in a safe location. Although I don't think that my camera right now is actually showing or providing you appreciation for really how close we are to this hillside here in Sumner that is completely on fire. When I say that, as you see kind of all these little dots, all of that is burning remnants on here. And what we see is every time kind of the wind picks up, we're seeing this flare up. And I'm gonna see if I can play with the focus here for a minute, because the camera is clearly very, very confused in trying to stay focused. So let me play with some of those settings and see if I can do something a little better for you. Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent is with me. And she is taking some still photos here. And we can hear sirens going right now. And again, I am just working and trying to put in a better profile for the camera focus, because I see that the camera is really struggling to maintain focus here. So I would estimate what I'm showing you right here, and where there is kind of this more aggressive patch of burn going on the top of the hill, probably maybe a mile away from us, and 500, 750 feet of elevation change. The wind is blowing in the direction that we are at. So it is, we are downwind from the fire. Fire moves slower downhill than it does uphill, but the wind is pushing the fire that down here. We're in the community of Sumner. And I know you're kind of like probably looking at this and going, oh, you're just like in some dark area or something. And it's like, no. We're in Sumner, like in the community thereof. Wow, did this just erupt over here? A tree just erupted in flames over here. And I mean, that tree just exploded. And so what's happening is that the wind is pushing the fires, you know, now if you kind of look, you can probably see where there are like spots moving around on there. I could see an emergency vehicle that is moving on the top of the ridge. If you see those blinking lights right up on the top left, that is an emergency vehicle that is moving along the top of the ridge line. What I started to explain, we're in the middle of kind of a once in 100 year here weather pattern in the Washington, Puget Sound lowlands. This is an area that is not prone to wildfires. We are 10, 15 miles from Tacoma. We're about 40 miles from Seattle. This is an area that you could describe as like right on the edge of being rural, but this would be kind of a rural suburban area where we are at. We're close to Puyallup, Washington, which is where the Puyallup Fair is at, and a lot of people, there are people that commute from Puyallup all the way into Seattle for work, but I wouldn't call Puyallup a suburb of Seattle. It's more a suburb of Tacoma. We're having historically dry, very, very low humidity here. Humidity below 20%, which is very unusual for Puget Sound. That's number one. The second thing is that we are having a very unusually warm period here in September. Tomorrow, Seattle is forecasted to be 88. The day after, the forecast is for 90. Both of those would be record-setting days. The next thing that we have here is we have wind. There are areas that were under wind advisories yesterday. And in this part of the state, what happened was there were winds that came through last night, and those winds had gusts that were up to hurricane force. This knocked over power lines. Those power lines sparked and arced. And here's the fourth thing. A lot of people don't know this about our area. Seattle is very dry in the summertime. And since mid-June, we have only had about a half an inch of rain. So everything here is tinder dry. So toss in tinder dry conditions, warm temperatures, unbelievably low humidity for this part of the state, and wind gusts 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. And what do you get? You get forest fires. And when those power lines came down, they arced and they created fires. So something important to understand, these fires are not man-made. These are, by all reports, everything I've had, these are not arson fires that have done this, but this is a dangerous situation. In the town of Graham, there have been homes lost. And here in this town of Sumner, there are homes lost. My phone is blowing up right now with people telling me that within Tacoma, there are fires that are going on there. There are brush fires and fires that are on the brink of going out of control within the city of Tacoma. And I don't have an opportunity to kind of confirm that. This is a really unusual situation here. There's super smoky. And, right now things are settling down a little bit. But what we see happen is, like, for instance, I was filming over in this area. We were showing some trees that were like totally engulfed. Those trees have burned up. And so that fuel has been eliminated. The area in front of us is so dark in part because the power is out. Power lines are down and the power is out. But all of these little dots that you see, those are fires all along the top of this ridge. I hear a helicopter coming in. Definitely hear a helicopter. Helicopter is on the other side of the ridge, and it actually doesn't sound like it's coming in this area. It sounds like it is traveling to my left. Candidly, I don't know where north, south, east, or west is here. We will be moving kind of from place to place. Again, I see people that are blowing up the comments. This fires, as I understand it, of what I've read from my sources, these fires were started by downed power lines. That there are a significant number of power lines that have gone down because of the windstorm that came through here yesterday. And hey, honey. Is that a pretty good solid glow over there to our right? Yeah, so maybe we should move. So there is a really significant glow over here. Okay, I'll try not to. That was Dr. and Mrs. Malcontent. So probably about 200 meters from our location, if we were to head in that direction of the fire, the road is completely blocked off by police, and just past this location, power is out. 1 second. Walking through a field in the dark. I don't know if you can like hear like just the cracking brush and all. It is, I can't stress enough how dry it is. So for those of you just tuning in, we are in Sumner, Washington, where there are brush fires and forest fires right on the edge of town. And what we're doing is we're going to move location. There's a fair number of trees here, as you can see. So my position's obscured. But if we cross this parking lot, we can probably give you a view of what appears to be, again, this whole ridge is basically on fire. But it looks like there is more significant involvement if we come over to this side. We do know that some homes have burned in the community. And again, you know, if you live, say, like in California or something, you might just be going like, this isn't a fire. This is beyond unusual for this area. And here, if I just stop for a minute, and you can see, you know, all of this defoliage that's happened here and small branches that are kind of all in this parking lot. That's a testament to the winds that had come through and whipped all of this up. No, I'm not gonna be able to go this way. Gonna have to go around this building. That's an alarm going. I don't know why or for what. Not a fire alarm. If you like independent journalism, if you like having the before, during, and after brought to you, this is a good time to like, follow, subscribe, and share as we continue to experience multiple historic events here. And what I'm going to have to do is cross the street. There's people in this parking lot, and I have a better view here. And this patch of fire is lower down on the ridge line than the ones that we were shooting on the other side. This is actually much lower down on the ridge line. And the wind is pushing the fire downhill and to the right. I couldn't, again, unfortunately, I don't know my north, south, east, west here. And I am working with I am trying to work with the camera settings here to try to give you a better experience. I don't have the gimbal. I don't have the gimbal with me. I had the pole with me, and quickly concluded the pole wasn't going to work. And so I'm sorry. I'm hands free, or I'm hands mode. And so what you've got is we've got some emergency vehicles that are over here, and then we have this area of fire that is right here. And then if I pan over here, all of those little dots up on the top of the hill, all of that is fire. So this entire ridge line is on fire. That is correct. This fire is not contained. I don't even know if this fire is any percentage contained. I don't know if this is a 0% contained. I know there's a couple of fires I had read. Here's another police vehicle that is heading off up into this area here. And then basically, again, the reason this area is so dark up past in this area here is because the power is out. I am basically right on the line here of where the power is still on. So if I pan over here, that one street light, that's it. It is dark past that street light. The lights that you are seeing down the road is because there are vehicles that are parked down there. So for those that are wondering about the weather, I wish I could provide you some good news. And also, newer malcontents. And now when I say newer malcontents, you may have been a malcontent for a year and go like, wait a minute, weather, fires, what's going on? This page started as a weather page. This page started as local forecasting for not even just Western Washington, the east side of Seattle, because we have microclimates in Seattle, which makes things very, very complicated. So that's what actually this page was founded on. I am totally back to my roots doing this tonight. This is as old school malcontent as you can get. So weather forecast, I don't have good news for people here, especially if you're in the area that are impacted by the fires. And again, I can hear another helicopter here, definitely off to my left. And apologies, I keep saying that I don't know my north, south, east, west here, but I can definitely hear another helicopter off to my left. What I don't know if that's a news helicopter. I don't know if that is a sheriff's department doing observation helicopter. I know they were doing some water drops. I don't know if they were doing it specifically on this fire. I generally under the understanding, someone can correct me in the comments, they're not big fans of doing water drops at night. The other thing is that fire activity generally slows down at night. Back to the weather forecast. Tomorrow, it's going to be hot. The wind is going to go down a little bit, but the area where I'm at, like here, Sumner, this area will be over 90 degrees tomorrow. The only thing that's going to keep the temperatures from going, not getting up to that will be if the smoke is so bad that it can't get that warm. Thursday is going to be even hotter. And again, if you're not from Western Washington, you might be going 90 degrees. So what? It's not unprecedented in September for here. It is extremely rare. And the wind will die down a little bit, but the humidity is not going to get a lot better. So the little bit of good news is that with the wind dying down, they will be able to push ahead and get ahead on these fires a little bit more. The bad news is there's nothing in the weather that is going to bring these fires under control. The other thing is there is no measurable or appreciable rain in the weather forecast as far out as I can see. There is some chances kind of when I look maybe 5-7 days out for some showers. And again, if you see that now this is kind of flaring up, as you can see, this is starting to flare up more in this spot, starting to see active flames in this area. The wind is pushing, it gets a hold of some more fuels. And as we saw earlier in the stream, if something just reaches a point, one of these pine trees that are up here, you'll see kind of this explosive blast of fire. That tree is essentially incinerated, and then it goes back to this. But yeah, it is definitely kind of picking up. If you're seeing in the stream like, oh, it's getting a little more, you are correct. I've lived here 20 years. We've had brush fires. It's very, very common here. Like everyone thinks it rains in Seattle nonstop. We get almost no rain from about mid-June to the end of September. Very, very little rain. And the grass here dies and the brush dries out. But because of our proximity to the ocean, and because in those summer months we generally don't get strong wind events, we don't get kind of this fire weather. And what we've got here now is this combination where it has created this environment of essentially like a California-like weather pattern. And, I know some people on the other side that like to politicize these things, which is like, well, this is the Forest Service fault, or this isn't Forest Service land. This is not an issue of, well, this, slash hasn't been cleared out or something. That's people's homes where this camera is pointed right now. This is people's homes. This is people's livelihoods. And unfortunately for them, these fires are probably not going to get to a scale. I hope they don't get to a scale where you're going to be able to get kind of a FEMA, it's not going to be like a California-sized fire of 1 million acres, and you're going to be able to get a FEMA disaster declaration. Homeowners that are being impacted by this are more than likely going to be on their own when it comes to resources. And again, what's happening with the camera because of all the traffic, the camera's just like, I don't know what to focus on. So it like focuses on the fire for a second and then it focuses on the headlights. People, please stop sending me messages that I've been doxed by Mike Solon. Believe me, I know I have been doxed by Mike Solon. I know there are people that probably mean well that are like, hey, have you seen this on Twitter or Reddit or on the dark web or in the alt-right? Yes, I know all about it. You can stop messaging me. I know, please, thank you. Especially when I'm on a live stream, I know. The other thing is that Sumner is not the only area impacted. We will probably move from this area because there are fires everywhere. Bonnie Lake is impacted. Tacoma is impacted. There are fires right now like this in King County and in Pierce County. And now what's happened is these fires started with power line failures related to a windstorm. And now because the wind is continuing to blow, the embers are being carried. And so that's why, I hoofed kind of a pretty hefty distance to kind of get over here. And of course, now what's happened is this patch of fire has died down. What we're not seeing here, this isn't because of firefighting. What's basically happening here is the fuels are kind of burned out. So probably what we're going to do at this point, I'm probably going to shut the stream down. And we are then going to move and see what else we can see. Because I think, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot to cover here. The other thing is, in picking our locations, we have to be sensitive to. I am aware that there are cell towers that are damaged. And because the cell towers are damaged or have been completely burned, there are areas out here where there is no cell coverage. And we do have plans for maps and etc. And I'm just going to tell everybody right now, we're not going to take any. I know this is the guy who goes out and gets hand grenades thrown at him, literally. Not going to take any crazy chances. And certainly not going to try to sneak across any police barricades or anything like that. I am always somebody that says, look, those things are there for a reason. If an area has been told to evacuate, you evacuate. Now, if we could potentially embed with a fire department and get to go up in and further, we'll absolutely take that opportunity to do that and bring you the story. So I think for right now, what I'm going to say is malcontentment out. I would flip the camera around to me, but it's dark. You're not going to see anything. So malcontentment